There we go. So my name is Cris, and I'm a freelance senior full stack developer. I'm based in Turin, Italy. I've been developing for over 12 years and working as a freelancer for more than 6 years. In this time, I've worked in one of Italy's most forward-thinking software development agencies, and I've founded a startup that has raised over 300,000 euros in a seed round of investment. Um, Today, I would like to talk to you about some ideas inspired by the book Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. This session is a bit of an experiment for me. It's a different format than I usually do, so I hope that you enjoy it. Also, it's relatively brief, so I know that the previous session was pretty long, and the next one is also quite long, but I will be giving you a break, so don't worry. Mine will be rather short. But there will be time for questions in the end if you have any. I hope you enjoy. So this talk will be about sharing your work and why you should do that. And the first point I'd like to make is I'd like you to think about all the influencers that you follow. You know, I'm sure that you follow a bunch of people on Instagram, Twitter, a bunch of people that you always look at their posts and you always read their posts. I'd like you to think about what they all have in common. They all share their work. They're all there, and you're reading their posts only because they share them. So think about this. Anytime that you go to them looking for inspiration, for example, you go look at how did they start their careers, or how did they get where they are, so that you can emulate them and hopefully get the same results. Just think that if you want to emulate them, you should also emulate the sharing part, and you should also share. So why should you though? Why do these people share their work, and why should you? Well, the answer is pretty simple. It's to build an audience. But why build an audience? Well, building an audience will do a few things for you. First of all, you will find more work and more clients in your audience, and that's always useful. But most importantly, in my opinion, you will get feedback and ideas from your audience. Your audience will tell you, anytime you share some content, that's great, or it will tell you, well, that kind of sucks, honestly. And just having that kind of feedback is the most valuable thing you could ever get. But besides that, if that's not enough for you, uh, an audience will also keep you afloat, because in an audience you can find patrons who might donate money to you and finance you to just keep doing what you're doing because they like your content. Also, an audience will buy your products and services if you sell any, so you can one day monetize it. So I hope that's enough of a reason to build an audience and that you are now interested. Let's go about how to build an audience and some key insights from this Show Your Work book that will be very handy in trying to build an audience. So what's the best way to start? Well, the best way to start, especially if you're a beginner in your field, is to just pick something that you want to learn and just share it, and share every single thing that you learn as you learn it. Essentially, you want to make a commitment to learning it in front of everyone else, to use Cleon's words. Now, there are a lot of excuses you can probably think about here, like, well, but I'm not an expert, I'm just a beginner who wants to learn from me. Well, the truth is, everyone who is just one step behind you, well, they would benefit greatly from knowing what your journey was. So that's just an excuse, and it's not really a good one. You should start right now. The thing about sharing is that it compounds, and so the more time you have it is the only thing that dictates how successful you are. So the earlier you start, the better. The minute you learn something, you should teach everyone else about it. Make a tutorial about it, make a blog post about it, make an Instagram post about it. But you should do that, and that's the best way to start, according to Cleon, and in my opinion as well. Here we go with the key insights. Number one, be findable. you don't find an audience. That's not how it's done. It's the audience that finds you. But you need to make sure that you're findable. In technical terms, if you're doing Instagram, you need to use the right hashtags. You need to do the right collaborations with the right people. If you're having a blog, then you want to make sure that your articles get indexed on Google and that when people search for the right terms, they get to see your article. Otherwise, it's pointless that you're sharing it. So be findable, number one. Here's a quote from the book that I really liked. It says, make stuff you love and talk about stuff you love. And you'll attract people who love that kind of stuff. It's that simple. Now, it's very important that the people who follow you be, people who are genuinely interested in the same kind of things as you are. Otherwise, what's the point? And actually, it's quite easy to get that. You just want to make sure that you only talk about the things that you love, genuinely. So, for example, I'm a developer. I love development. I started developing very, very, very young. I have an Instagram page, and what do? I talk about development. I would never go talk about lawyers and law or about food because that's not my thing. So the next point is you want to be relevant. Now, that's right. Don't show your lunch or your latte. Show your work. Again, it's connected to the thing I just said about showing the things that you love. Nobody really cares what you ate yesterday for dinner if your page is about programming. So as a rule of thumb, you can do this. You can ask yourself, so what? Anytime you're about to post something, you just ask yourself, so what? Is there anyone who would find some value in this post? And if the answer is no, then just don't post it. I feel like it's kind of obvious, but very often we forget to do this. This is another quote that, in my opinion, is quite interesting. Teaching people doesn't subtract value from what you do; it actually adds to it. Very often, we might feel like if we're just giving away the secrets to our work and to how we do it, then we're devaluing it. But really, the truth is that if you can do something, that's good. But if you can teach 100 people to do it, well, that's 100 times better. So teaching has a lot of value. It doesn't subtract from what you do. This is a very important thing when you're producing content, when you're creating content. It's very important to keep in mind that quantity is more important than quality. Don't stop on the details. Don't avoid posting something just because you feel like it's not as beautiful or as cool as it could be. Publish it anyways, because quantity is more important. 90% of everything is crap. And that's true. If you look at any music composer like Beethoven, you will find those 20 tracks that have become really, really famous. But besides those 20 tracks that are really famous, there's like 1,000 of them which are like nobody knows anything about because they suck. But they were required for Beethoven to learn to be able to make those 20 that are masterpieces that we still listen to today. So don't be afraid of posting stuff that's not perfect. That's normal. I wanted to say also, not just quantity, but perseverance and how to say, you want to keep doing it all the time. You never want to stop. Every day, do it every day, and you'll get there. That's more important even than quantity. Share your own influences. Now, this is something that gets forgotten very often, but everything you do is very much dictated by who influences you and the people that you have around. Now, if someone is trying to become more like you, is trying to learn from you, one of the things that they probably want to find out and they probably want to know is, who is it that influences you? Who is it that teaches you? And so you should share that. If you have influencers that you follow, then you should tell the people who follow you that you follow these other people. This will help them greatly, more than you can imagine. Sometimes it's even more valuable than your own work, sharing your influences. if you get into this content creation business, you need to be a storyteller and you need to learn to tell a story. Telling a story is an art. It's difficult, and it's very important because humans value things very differently based on the story behind it. For example, just think about this. Think about a coin. A 50-cent coin is just worth 50 cents. But a 50-cent coin that Steve Jobs had been carrying in his wallet for 10 years, well, that's worth way more than 50 cents, right? And it's just the story behind the coin. So being able to tell a story is very important. If you want to be a writer, you have to be a reader first. I feel like that this is an obvious one, right? But so many people are writing on Twitter and never reading, or making posts on Instagram but never checking out other people's posts, or they want to be an influencer but they don't take part in the community. It's like, this doesn't work like that. People like to interact both ways. You can't just talk and expect everyone to listen to you. You need to talk and to listen at the same time. This is very important. If you want fans, you need to be a fan first. And if you want to be accepted by the community, you need to be a valid member of that community. Your website. You need to have a website. That's very important. All these social networks like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, they come, they go. In 10 years, probably they will be different, and your Instagram page with all of its followers will not be worth much at some point. Just because Instagram will probably fall out of fashion at some point. But your website is where you can truly expect to preserve that value over time. So you need a website. And don't think about your website as a self-promotion machine. It's not your way to advertise yourself, but rather it's your way to construct yourself, to build yourself, because your webpage represents you. So in a way, by building your webpage, you're building your own image on the internet. Right. If you're only pointing to your own stuff online, you're doing it wrong. It comes back to what I was saying earlier. You need to interact with the community. You need to have people who influence you in order to influence others. And a very big part of what you're sharing shouldn't be your work, but should be some other people's work that you are inspired by. For sure, if you're doing work, you are being inspired in your work by a lot of other people. And you should share those people, because chances are they're going to inspire your followers as well, and your followers will be thankful to you for sharing these great influencers. Let's talk about newsletters in general, mailing lists, and why they're so important. Again, it's the topic about social networks just falling out of fashion every now and then, like Facebook did, like MySpace did, and like Instagram will eventually, just like Snapchat did, and Twitter will at one point as well. But oftentimes the simplest technology is the technology that survives the longest, just because it's so universal. Think about email, for example. You would think that now that we have all these things, Facebook and WhatsApp and everything, you would think that nobody would use email, right? But actually, email is still the number one communication tool for all businesses, and the reason is just because it's so stable. It's never gonna fall out of fashion, and that's why you want a mailing list. You never know when you're gonna start selling something, or when you're gonna start a new startup and you're gonna want users for your startup, or when you're gonna start a new course, a new software development course, or a design course, or whatever. Your mailing list is gonna come in handy. You should start having a mailing list and collecting emails right now. The moment you start creating content is the moment you want to start having a mailing list, because one day it will come in handy, and you will be very sad not to have created one from the very beginning. So this is the end of the first part. This first part was about sharing. But now I would like to talk about work, not necessarily in the context of sharing, just work. So the first thing I would like to say is, well, overnight success is a myth, and this is something that I feel like a lot of people, a lot of beginners have very wrong. In fact, I myself had it very wrong until recently. Uh, Behind all overnight success stories, if you dig a little deeper, you'll find that actually there is always a decade or so, or often more, of work, of trying and repeatedly trying and failing before finally achieving what you would call a success. It takes a lifetime to build a huge body of work that will actually contain just a few successful works. But the thing is, you don't need to be scared by that, because you can just go at it one day at a time. It's not like you have to put in the decade of work right away altogether. The thing is, in one way, it's actually relieving because it tells you that success is nothing so complicated. Actually, you don't have to be a genius. You don't have to do. You don't have to have superpowers. You just have to put in the time, and you have to do it consistently, like over. It's a question of, can you do this for the next 10 years and never stop? And if you can, good job, you got it. This is a quote that I really, really like, and it's one. If you were to take away one thing from this session, this is what I would like you to take away. Um, on the spectrum of creative work, the difference between the mediocre and the good is vast. Mediocrity is, however, still on the spectrum. You can move from mediocre to good in increments. The real gap is between doing nothing and doing something. So I hope it is just as valuable to you as it is to me. This is like, it is so much better to be doing something than to be doing nothing. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but the fact that you're doing something is just already 100 times better than nothing. So so yeah, I would like you to keep that. The people who get what they're after are very often the ones who just stick around long enough, and this is similar to what we were saying earlier, but I want to stress it because you should be relieved by this. It means that all you need to do is to stick around and keep trying. This goes back to this quote on creativity, that going from nothing to doing anything, something is the biggest gap. Well, small things over time can get very, very big. You just need to be doing a tiny, tiny bit every day, and things compound. They will get better and bigger over time. Us humans, we're not really capable of doing big things per se. Think about it. You can't go and build a skyscraper or build the internet or build a city, or none of these things are possible per se, or build a computer. They're so difficult and so complicated. Can you even think about, like, imagine if you were assigned a task, you need to build a smartphone. What? Like, that's impossible. There's no way I can build a smartphone, and yet we've done it. And the way we've done it is just very, very, very small steps, one at a time. And anything that is achieved ever is achieved that way, which means that you can achieve anything, but you just got to do it one very small step at a time. Do something small every day. Start now. After this session, go and start a project. Do just anything, even just create the project, and it's already so good. There is someone deeply curious about your work. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There is an art to what you do, whether you're a developer, construction worker, or a painter. It doesn't matter. There's 7 billion people on Earth, and I am willing to bet that at least 1 million of them would pay anything, any price, to be able to see you do your work and to learn how you do it. I'm sure about that. There is no doubt. The only question is, can you find them? Or better, can you let them find you? All it takes to uncover hidden gems is a clear eye, an open mind, and a willingness to search for inspiration in places other people aren't willing or able to go. So again, like, all it takes is to try. Just try and try enough times, and you'll see that all around is full of hidden gems and full of valuable things and full of great niches that you can get into, and full of great businesses, full of great career paths and opportunities. Just gotta go get them and keep an open mind. Persevere. This is I feel like a bit the theme of this entire second session, second part of my session. You just persevere, just keep trying, keep doing it every day. Eventually, if you keep doing that for your entire life, you're gonna fail so many times. You're gonna fail like 1,000, 2,000 times, but one of those times, or maybe two, or maybe three, it's gonna be a huge success. But those are gonna be at the very end. Those are gonna be not now, but 10 years from now. But until then, for the entire 10 years, you're just gonna be failing all the time. You just gotta keep trying, persevere. If you look at the artists who have managed to achieve lifelong careers, you'll see one pattern in all of them, that all of them have persevered, no matter whether each of their work was a success or failure. They just kept trying, and they kept making another one and another one and another one and another one. And that's the key. That's the one common thing to every single one who has been successful in their life. This is very important to me, honestly, because very often when I've been doing things, especially when I started, because I started coding at such a young age and I started working as a freelancer at such a young age, and I haven't studied in college software development. I'm self-taught, so I always felt a little bit like I was an amateur. But here's the thing that I've learned, and the more I work, the more I keep thinking that is that everyone is an amateur. Here's the thing, literally, think of any company, any big company. Like, I don't know, what's the company that you want to work at? Is it Microsoft? Is it Coca-Cola? Is it Apple? Whatever, doesn't matter. Whatever company you want to work at, the people who are running that company are amateurs. They're just amateurs. They've been amateurs for such a long time that they don't seem like amateurs, but they are amateurs. And in their minds, they're like, I have no fucking clue what I'm doing, and it's the first time that I'm doing this. But well, let's try. I have an idea, and maybe it will work. And so, don't be afraid to be an amateur. That's just perfectly normal. Everyone is. That was the second part of my session. And that's all I had to say about work. Now, these last few slides will be uh, about you. You are what you say. Talk to find out who you are. So you are given this amazing thing that is your ability to talk, to speak, and to broadcast to the whole world your ideas and your thoughts. You should use it. Also, because when you speak out loud, you say things which you might not expect yourself to say, and you will find out things about yourself that you didn't know. Not just that, but you will find your voice, your style, your way of being. Just talk about the things you love, um, and about the things you do, and you will find out who you are. You're not your work. Don't forget that. Your work is something that you do, but it is not who you are. So just because you have failed once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times in your work, that doesn't say anything about yourself. It just says that you're working and you're trying. Don't confuse the two. You're not your work. And finally, if there's one thing that I want to repeat again, I want it to be the driving theme in my talk. It's don't stop. Never stop. There is no reason to stop. If you feel like you're not learning something new, then leave whatever it is that you're doing and go learn something. Learn something new, change something. If you don't like what you're doing at work, do something else, change it. But the important thing is that you keep trying and keep learning and keep doing it. Thank you. That's it. If you liked it, I really encourage you to go read the book, Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. It's been a great book for me, honestly. I read it about half a year ago, and afterwards I started my Instagram page, which is down there if you're interested. And I started being more active on my blog, which is also down there if you're interested. And honestly, the Instagram page has allowed me to meet some really great people and have some incredible interactions. Brought me some crazy ideas, and well, it also brought me here and to do this session today, which I'm really grateful for. So you should share your work. And if you're not convinced, then maybe the book will.